Let me show you photographs of 3 men whose companies have been listed here, who could easily become either Minister of Finance or Governor of the Bank of Ghana. The first one is Togbe Afede. Now, Togbe Afede's company is SAS. SAS, as you have seen, Strategic African Securities, have been involved in the borrowing. SAS has made at least 40, 50 million cedis to 100 million cedis since 2014 on this matter. SAS are like data bank. They have very clever Ghanaians who are working there. They have a lot of people working there. They have high-skilled labor and all of that. So Togbe Afede, who has been on the board of the Bank of Ghana, Togbe Afede is one of the longest existing members. He's no longer on the board now, but he was on the board of Bank of Ghana during Kufuor's era. And he continued to be a board of the Bank of Ghana during Professor Mills' era. And then in addition to that, he became the, Togbe Afede became the board chairman of the National Investment Bank. There again, he's been there for quite long. So Togbe Afede's company is SAS. They've been doing Eurobond for Ghana and earning money all the time. If tomorrow Togbe Afede becomes Minister of Finance, should we say that you have become Minister of Finance, therefore, Strategic African Securities can no longer advise government on Eurobond borrowing and close down the company? Should we say that? But that's the reality that is confronting us. That's the reality that we take from the narrative of broadcast legend Kwesi Cheidakwa. And if we don't stop Strategic African Securities and they do the bond, can I come and sit on TV and say that Togbe Afede is crown 4 and that as Ghana is borrowing, his company is making money from the borrowing? Can I really say that? Should I be able to say that? That SAS, and I come and say, I saw the document, I read it, is this thick? And Togbe Afede's company, the finance minister's company, Strategic Africa Securities, they are part of the loan. Anytime Ghana borrows, they make money from it. Why is he doing that? Which is what he had been doing long before he became Minister of Finance. Should we say that? Can we say that? Is that something we should be able to say? Not just Togbe Afede. Maybe he's a chief, so he's not interested in politics. So as a chief, he cannot be Minister of Finance. Fair enough. Maybe not him. Let's move on. Look at this fine gentleman, Edward Effa. Edward Effa set up Fidelity Bank from zero. He was on the ringway, called it Fidelity Discount House. Through dint of hard work, perseverance, he set up a bank, Fidelity Bank. Today, if you look at the list, I can show it to you again. Fidelity Bank has been involved in most of the analysis of the Eurobond support for government. Fidelity Bank has earned money from it. Edward Effa is qualified to be the Minister of Finance any day. He's qualified to be a governor of the Bank of Ghana any time. Should we, when it becomes that Edward Effa is now being appointed Minister of Finance in Ghana, that Fidelity Bank should stop doing what they have already been doing, about which they are chosen by a regular criteria? The TV is gone off. Is that what we should be saying? Should we say that? Should we say that we can't have the skill set of Edward Effa at the Ministry of Finance or at the Bank of Ghana because Fidelity Bank? Now, if Edward Effa knows that if I take up this job as governor of the Bank of Ghana or as Minister of Finance, Fidelity can no longer do this work, he's more likely not to take up the job. And that will bring me to what Lee Kuan Yew said. Edward Effa will say, I don't want the job because I want my business. So is that what that's the narrative. And if Edward Effa is Minister of Finance and Fidelity Bank are participating in Eurobond and earning money for it, then I come and sit on TV and said, Edward Effa, look at, anytime Ghana borrows money, Edward Effa makes money. And his children will come and say, some other children don't have property. And it's not because that's on papaye crown 4. We can't use words like that in a civilized society where there's data everywhere, there's freedom of information, people know people, you can ask people. We shouldn't do that. Even though this brings us to a bigger narrative of what we want as a country, and I'll be setting that out in terms of the laws. This is the real narrative. Okay, Edward Effa might say that, well, I've lived my life, I'm good, I'm not interested in politics, I'm gone, I'm not interested. Young man, David Iwadaku, this guy came from abroad. He has a family business. His family business is insurance. Vanguard Insurance is family business. He could have easily walked into Vanguard Insurance to continue his work. He studied at Oxford. Great guy. He could have said, I'm going to Vanguard Insurance. No, he didn't do that. He went on the street and set up IC Securities. He called a few friends of his, friends that he had known for long, the same age as him. And they set up IC Securities. Everyone in the industry began to admire them. That, IC Securities, no, they are the place to go. They are serious people. People were sending their children there for internship. And I know a few friends of mine who've sent their children to IC Securities for internship. And this is David Iwadaku. IC Securities has been doing Eurobond, as you will see in the list, from 2015, 2016. If tomorrow he becomes a deputy minister of finance, or a minister of state at the Ministry of Finance, or a president comes and says, I think I need somebody like David at the Bank of Ghana. So I'm going to make David a deputy governor at the Bank of Ghana. And David goes to the Bank of Ghana as deputy governor. Should IC Securities close down and stop doing the government business and send the people home? Are they not Ghanaians? They should send them home because he has become this. I agree with KKD. People cannot take up government and set up a company. You can't do that. That I agree with. You can't set up a company. But the references that he's making is to people whose companies have not been set up today. They have been doing that work already. So I come and sit on TV and say, David Iwadaku, I'm older than him. Small boy. He came from nowhere. Now he's Minister of Finance and his IC Securities are doing this and that. That's not analysis. That's envy. I'm sorry to say. That's not analysis. That's pure jealousy, envy, and it's foolishness. I'm sorry to say. I shouldn't be able to come and talk about David Iwadaku and say that, hey, oh, you're Chrome 4. No. We shouldn't do that. We have to deal with the facts. And we have to discuss as a country. What is the context of conflict of interest? To what extent are we going to have the conflict of interest? And to what extent can we tolerate it? And to what extent can we get it out? It's a decision for all of us to make. But we can't call people who have worked hard for their company and happen to come into government because they want to get things right. They may not get things right. They may get it wrong. They may get it half right. But they took a decision to put their files down in private sector and walk into government empty-handed. Now, a company that has been doing that work, if I'm MD of Data Bank and Kenneth Fuata calls me and says that, Chief, we are doing Eurobond, but because I'm Minister of Finance, you cannot participate. I will beat him up. I cannot participate because you are Minister of Finance. You've put my destiny in your hand. You've called me to become MD of Data Bank. Who is MD of Data Bank? Professor Adom-Otchere's son. What's his name? Kojo Adom-Otchere. He's MD of Data Bank. He's a guy who was doing his banking business. Adom-Otchere has been in banking and has been a successful banker where he was, Standard Chartered. Then they brought him to Data Bank. They poached him to come and lead Data Bank. He came to lead Data Bank before Fuata became Minister of Finance. So Fuata becomes Minister of Finance, calls Kojo Adom-Otchere and says that, Chief, I'm Minister of Finance, so you cannot participate in the government bond anymore, which is their biggest business that they look forward to every year. You tell him that, he will walk away. What are you telling the people that you have employed at Data Bank? That because you have become Minister of Finance, if that's what we want as a country, we should say so. That once you become minister, you can no longer do any business at all, even with the company that was already doing the same kind of business. We should say that. If we say that, what we're going to have is that David Iwadaku will never get into government. But I tell you, we need David Iwadaku in government. Whether it's MPP government, NDC government, you need people like David Iwadaku with a share scope of their exposure. Just that is good enough. We need people like David Iwadaku in government. We need people like Edward Effa in government. Not just Edward Effa has been advising a lot of government. NDC, MPP has been advising them. We don't just need him as an advisor. If we can, we need him inside the government. We need people like Togbe Afede in government. Togbe Afede was on the board of Bank of Ghana. A lot happened there. He had been chairman of NIB, the longest chairman of NIB. I believe a lot of good things happened there too. But we need people like him in government. And so he comes to government and his main company, Togbe Afede came from America, set up Data Bank, left Data Bank, set up Strategic African Securities. That's the only job he's been doing. Strategic African Securities is his only job he's been doing. The main one. Well, Hearts of Folk is not a job, it's a charity, isn't it? Because I'm not sure he makes money from Hearts of Folk. It's out of the money he makes from SAS that he's been able to make Hearts of Folk what it is. And so he should stop, become Minister of Finance. So John Mahama becomes president and says, Togbe Afede, come and be the governor of the central bank. And that means SAS closes down. I mean, really, is that what we want to say? This is Kwabena Duffour, finance minister, who in the history of the Fourth Republic was the first finance minister to achieve single-digit inflation. We know that. That's Duffour's record. You can't do anything about that. It is a record for, it's not a record for MPP. It's a record for Dr. Duffour and Professor Mills. They first achieved single-digit inflation. Dr. Duffour came to the job already having a bank, Unibank, and an insurance company, Star Assurance. Now, both of these companies and both of this category of companies, banking and insurance, work directly to the Minister of Finance. He used to be the deputy governor of the central bank. Then he became governor of the central bank. He went on retirement, and Professor Mills called him from retirement. Now, when Professor Mills and Captain Chikata wanted to bring Kwabena Duffour into government because they were taking over from Kufuor's administration, and the whole conversation had been that Kufuor had done a great job with the economy with Ban Radio, Osafo Mafu, and Akuto Osei, and that the NDC coming into government, they should be careful that they're able to sustain the economy. That was a concern of many international observers when the NDC won the 2009 election, whether they will be able to sustain the economy. So many people in NDC who were active NDC members were looking for the job. Dr. Duffour was not an active NDC member. In fact, some people even called him CPP. But they brought him in. Professor Mills said, Kwabena, I need you to come and do this for me, because taking over from Kufuor, I need somebody like you who understands it. He came in and he achieved single-digit inflation. He had a bank called Unibank. If Dr. Duffour had been told that once you become finance minister, Unibank cannot do any business with government, maybe he wouldn't have come. But Unibank did a lot of business with government. And it came to pass that when government owed contractors, Kwabena Duffour's Unibank will pay them. There's a whole story about that. There's a letter that I can show you about that. By the time the NPP government came into office in 2017, it was reported by KPMG that government owed Dr. Duffour's bank $1 billion United States dollars. Not million, not cedis, $1 billion United States dollars. I'll show you that letter. It's here. I'll show it to you. A letter written from KPMG to Charles Edu-Boahen indicating to him that, Uncle Charles, you know something? The government owes Unibank $1 billion. So. And Charles wrote back and said he's verifying the figures. Dr. Duffour, as finance minister, with a bank that he privately owned, was able to lend money to contractors on behalf of government. Is that a good thing or is it a bad thing? You tell me. If he didn't have a bank, would he have been able to do that? Is it good to have had Dr. Duffour as Minister of Finance at the time? The data shows that it was, because single-digit inflation was achieved. So these are the kind of conversations. So if I sit on TV and I say that Dr. Duffour, and he's Minister of Finance, and he has a bank, and his children will come and say to my children that, oh, Papa and Bobra, and Oye Kronfor. I mean, should you really be able to say that? Should anyone be able to say that? But anyway, let's move on.